Thank you, Ashley. I appreciate that. Welcome, everybody, to Introduction to Map 3D Toolsets. We've only got 30 minutes, so it's going to be a real quick kind of go around to see what we have and what we do not have here. Excuse me. I have to apologize. I may have to mute a time or two. I'm recovering from a cold, so please bear with me. So, what we have with Map 3D is basically Autodesk's answer to utilizing GIS functionality. And what that pertains to is it allows you to use Esri files, GIS files, etc. Okay, in their native formats. So you'll be able to access SDF files, all sorts of other types of files here. Excuse me. Okay, and then you're going to be able to combine them with DWG files, raster images, things of that nature. So what you'll be able to do is create very complex and informative drawing files that you'll be able to utilize in a DWG format. Okay, this is Map 3D. You'll notice it looks a lot like AutoCAD, or if you are familiar with that, it does look a lot like AutoCAD. Okay, for those of you who are unfamiliar, this is the interface for the software. You will have a ribbon. That is something that Autodesk has gone to since I believe the release was 2010. Okay, so your ribbon is up here. And really, one of the interesting functionalities of Map 3D is the fact that it comes with what's called the task pane. And the task pane is over here on the left-hand side. Okay, that's where I have it. It is actually a tool palette, and it is dockable, so I have it docked on the left-hand side. You can hide it, so it's just like any other tool palette. Okay, you can float it, you can dock it, however you want to utilize it. Okay, but this is going to be an integral portion of your Map 3D functionality. Now you have 4 tabs related to your task pane. You've got your display manager, your map explorer, a map book, and you've got survey. Okay, so your display manager is going to be where you manage your features, your databases, your geospatial data files, raster files, etc. Okay, your map explorer is where you're going to be able to view the elements. And these are files where you have connected as sources, queries you've used and saved, templates for linking drawing objects, things of that nature. Now, map book is where you will divide your very large map. In this case, if you have an entire county and you want to make it into a smaller city type situation, you'll be able to divide your large map into tiles. Okay, and survey is where you will bring in and work with your survey point data. Each of these has a different little functionality, a little different view. Okay, but fairly straightforward. There's not a lot of intricate tools for Map 3D. And one thing that I'll throw out there, excuse me, is something that I found a little bit difficult to deal with actually, is that Map 3D is really not a workflow type software. And I say that as I need to draw specific lines and then modify those lines. And then I do this, etc., to get from A to B to C to Z. With Map 3D, you're able to kind of pick and choose what functionality you want at different points in your project or putting together your data. Okay, so with that, that was the hardest thing for me to actually come to grips with. And it might be kind of difficult for those of you who maybe have used AutoCAD for a long time. or Civil 3D or Revit. So just be prepared for that. It's not something that you go, oh, and then what? And then what? You can do them at different points of the project, etc. So just be aware of that. That's kind of just one of those. Hey, I struggled with it. You may, so don't feel bad if you do. Okay. So what we're going to do is this. I'm going to try to, with the time that we have, bring in and start to create a map. Okay. Now, I've already created a brand new file, and the process is going to be the same. You'll go to your application menu. You'll click New, Drawing, and I actually used the map2d.dwt template file. These come with the software, even these map books that you see up here. Those template files also come with the software. When you go to create a new file, the software automatically defaults to that location. So unless you have a specific network location for your template files, the software is going to automatically take you to this location here. So with that, I've already created one, and I've called it base. Okay. Now the first thing that I really want to do here is I need to let the drawing know where I'm at. Because now, based upon all of the BIM integration that we have with the softwares, we want to make sure that when we go from one platform to another or one software to another, we want to make sure that we're in the same location. So we want Map to know where we are in the world, and we need to go ahead and actually set a coordinate system. Now, this is going to be like any other software. There's going to be more than one way to skin the cat, so to speak. So the one that I'm going to use might not be the one you use if you're familiar with the software. Don't worry, there is no right or wrong way to set your coordinate system. Okay, so I've got my brand new file created. I want to set the coordinate system. Okay, I'm going to go up to my Map Setup tab here in my ribbon. And then my ribbon is tabs and panels. So in the coordinate system panel, what I'd like to do is click Assign. Now you'll see all of these coordinate systems from all around the world. So if you have, in this case, let's say you've got a job that's in Maryland, and you also have a job that's in Taiwan, you should be able to access the coordinate systems. Now, please take into consideration, these are not user. These are typically state plane or what country is set as their coordinate systems. So please be aware of that. So I happen to know that this is in California. So we'll change the category here to USA. We'll click California. And I also happen to know that it is CA83-I. Okay. So it references the NAD 83. The units for this one is meters. Please pay attention to that. It may or may not come into play later on. Now, some of you might be saying, well, how did you know that that was the coordinate system? Typically, you can find out the coordinate system from the surveyor. They should know it. So if you have access to the surveyor, you can call them and find out. You can also get online if you like, and typically if you say, I need to find out the coordinate system or the state plane for Lansing, Michigan. Typically, if you Google that, it will come up and it will tell you. Okay, so you can jump ahead of the game there if you need to. All right, so once we have that, we're going to click Assign. Okay, now we'll see that down here at the bottom in our drafting settings. Okay, so right down here, and it's actually got a pull down here. Okay, So there it is. There is my coordinate system. It has been set. It is CA-83-I. So now what we can do is we can start to build our map. And we'll do that, okay, by at least initially we're going to drag and drop some information. Okay, you can use the ribbon and you can go ahead and use some of the other informations here. I like to drag and drop. I am an old school drafter, but I do like the drag and drop functionality here. Okay, so what you can do is you can go ahead, find out where you're located. Let me just drag this over if I can. Okay, I actually want to bring in the city boundary. It is an SDF file. Okay, so it's a spatial data file. And what I can do, because I've set my coordinate system, is I can go ahead and drag it. So I'm just holding my left mouse button down. I'm going to drag it into the drawing file and release. So once I get to this point, now I've added my counties, or the city boundary, excuse me, to my map. Okay, so this is the city of Redding in California. One other thing to mention, any AutoCAD knowledge that you have is going to be translatable here to Map 3D. In case you didn't know, Map 3D sits upon the AutoCAD platform. So any AutoCAD commands that you know and are familiar with are going to come into play here. Okay, so there is my city boundary. Okay, now what I want to do with this juncture is I want to continue to build. Okay, and I can bring in additional shape files, etc. What I want to do though is I want to bring in a DWG file. Okay, so with that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to attach the drawing data. Okay, so want to make sure we're on our display manager. We're going to come up to data. We're going to click on that because we want to add. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to add drawing data. Okay, well, there's all sorts of other things that we can go and grab, but we want to attach a source drawing here. Okay, now because of time constraints, I've already gone ahead and done this, so I know this is going to work, but I'm still going to walk through it with you. Okay, so what I want to do is we want to attach. We've got to make sure that we have it. So once you get to that point, you're going to start to see dialog boxes. If you are familiar with them, you know how useful they can be. And if you're not, initially it will probably be something that you're kind of frustrated with. But the dialog box helps you either inform you about information or helps you provide information to the software. Okay? After a while, they're just part of the deal, and you really don't pay any attention to them. You just know that you've got to either get or give information. Okay, so I selected my counties. That's what I wanted to bring in, so I want to add that as the source information. Okay, and once I get there, I'll click OK. I'll click OK again, and it's going to bring it in. So it's going to tell me that it is active. Okay, so it's in my drawing file. Now, you don't see anything, and this is one of the other aspects of map that really threw me for a loop, is the fact that sometimes you do not see information immediately. Right? If we're in AutoCAD and we bring in a block, I see it. Bring in an XREF, I see it. Okay? When I bring this into map, it does not appear in my map initially. Okay? it is not listed in the display manager. If you'll look right here, you can see I brought in the SDF city boundary, and that shows up, which is great, okay? But it's not showing my county's map, okay? So what I need to do now is I need to say, hey, I want to bring in a specific piece of information. And in order to do that, we're going to query that source drawing file, okay? So within that source drawing file, there are attributes that have been set up based upon the information that was created for my county's map. Okay. So in order to do that, I want to go to my home tab, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to define my query. Now I can define locations, properties, datas. I can and or. You can see I've got and or not. Lots of things that we can utilize here. In this case, I want to bring in, excuse me, I want to bring in some data. Okay, and because I clicked data, I'd like to see the object data. Now here's the data fields that have been set up within that DWG file that we attached via the source. Okay, so what I'd like to do is I'd like to use the name, and under my operator I want it to equal, and we're going to put in Shasta here. Okay. I'm going to click OK. And then instead of OK here, you want to execute the query. Okay. Now you've got to be careful. It needs to be, excuse me, it's case sensitive. So just in case. Okay. So we executed the query. We're going to go to our View tab. We're going to go to our Navigate panel, and we're going to go ahead and click Extents. Okay. And now you can see that we're building beyond that information. Okay, so this was our city. This is our county of Shasta. All right. So we're continuing to build our information here. So what we have now is, again, it's the ability to go back and forth, see what we have, see what we can bring in. We have all the information from that county's file. Oh, that's going to bring in all of the counties of California. I don't need all of that. I only need to bring in, excuse me, what's available to me. Okay. So let's see if we can bring in a little bit more information here real quickly. All right. Under Display Manager, we're going to go ahead and connect to data. Here we go. Okay. This is your data connections by provider. This is all of the information that we can connect to, and it's important that we use connect to. Okay, we're not physically utilizing it, but we're bringing it in and connecting to the information so that we can access it within our file here. So you've got ArcGIS, ArcSDEs, SQLs, ODBC connections, all this good stuff, raster images, SDF, which we've already done. You can bring in shape files, SQL information. Okay. I like to add in one more SDF. We're going to call this one parcels. And we need to search for it. to open. Okay. Once we have that taken care of, let's just connect. Let's get that information. All right. Now it's going to go through the process. We can change the coordinate system if we need to, but we've already got that set up. There's really no need to go ahead and do that. We can verify that we have the correct coordinate system. Okay. And we do want to bring in the parcels. Once we have that taken care of, we want to go ahead and we want to add to map. It's going to roll through. We'll close our data connections by provider. And now you'll see not only do we have our city boundary, but now we have our parcels. So not only is it defining our lot lines, it's defining our right-of-ways. Okay, waterways, etc. Pretty cool so far. Okay. Now, drag and drop our connections. All right. When you bring in the information, this is another, I won't say hurdle so much as it frustrated me, because if I were to bring in this information again, it may not bring it in with this color. Okay. So what you can do is you can change and edit the style and make it whichever color you would like it to be. Okay. You can change the color. You can change the width of your line work. You can select a symbol. Okay. These are all the AutoCAD functionalities, etc. Okay. There's my fill. If I want to change a different color, maybe we'll go with some red here. Looks good to me. Apply. Close. You are not limited to by what you are given. Okay, so you do have the ability to go ahead and add different colors, different line types, etc., in order to customize your drawing file. Okay. Now, we're actually, unfortunately, kind of out of time as far as what I can present to you. There's a lot more to show. Unfortunately, 30 minutes is not really a large enough time frame to continue on with the map introduction. Hopefully this is a start so that you know that you have different files that you can bring in, GIS in its native format, shape files, AutoCAD files, raster files. You're able to go ahead and customize the way that they look so that you can use the functionality for your actual product. Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and Ashley, we're about 26 minutes in, so I'd like to save some time for questions. If there are any. Hands-on workshops coming up. Hold on, let me go to do all the shortcut keys continue to work. Yes, if you customize your AutoCAD, when you bring in your AutoCAD map follows and sits on top of that AutoCAD functionality, so yes. And we do not do we do not typically schedule Map 3D training. Most folks find that it's a very specific type of training. It can be hit or miss. We do anticipate larger groups now with the one AutoCAD functionality that was brought out by Autodesk this year. We do anticipate that, so it's possible you will see them on the schedule. If you have interest in it, please go ahead and put that in the survey that is going to come to you once the presentation is finished, and then we can go ahead and contact you and see if there's interest in putting it on our schedule and putting together a class. And I hope that answered your questions, Matt. Anyone else? Did you see any, Ashley, that I'm missing here?
No, I don't see any others coming in.
Okay.
But I'll let everyone know that if you think of additional questions later, you can just reply to that confirmation or reminder email you receive from GoToWebinar, and we can get those to Scott or your sales rep, whoever, to help answer your questions.
And also, Ashley, before I really turn it over to you, in the survey that you provide, we do webinars from time to time, typically a few a month here and there. If you do want to see additional map functionality, please put that in there as well. And then what will happen is I'll go ahead and schedule it. I'm always looking for good ideas, and the good ideas are the ones that you want to see. So anything additional, please put that in there as well, and we can go ahead and start to formulate the last quarter of our webinars. Okay?
Yes, that's very helpful to us. There is one more question that popped in.
Is map included in infrastructure? In the design suite? The answer is yes. I believe it is in all versions, including standard. I believe you get AutoCAD. Well, yeah, I mean, the design suite is no longer available. It's the collection. And within the collection, your one AutoCAD, yes, you would have map. Either way, the answer is yes. Marcia. Yes, you can drop a raster file or a JPEG. As long as you have that world location file, it's got to be able to find it in the world. Otherwise, you're just bringing in a pretty picture. So it has to be justified properly before you can do that. Okay.
Okay. I don't see any others. So we'll go ahead and conclude for today. Thanks, Scott, for the presentation. Once again, if you could just take a few moments to fill out that survey, we would appreciate it. It will just pop up as we close down today. And thanks for attending, and have a great day, everybody.